It's 4:20 a.m. Welcome to the Stoned Witches Hour with Chelle and Laylla. Sit back, pack a bowl, and maybe turn on a few extra lights. Listen in as we tell each other stories of the creepy, the unexplained, the paranormal, a few mysterious murders, ghosts, ghouls, and things that go bump in the night.
All right. So before we get started, I'm going to do a dab.
Okay.
Because I'm nervous.
I just literally sucked down a whole pipe.
Well, that's the only way to start a podcast, honestly, really. What else are you going to do? Tell me something. Say it. Let me hear it.
Okay. Hey, it's 4:20 a.m. Time to get together for some ganja and ghouls with Chelle and Laylla.
Yeah. Okay. That works. What do you think about paranormal stoner stories?
That's a mouthful when you're high.
That is kind of a mouthful when you're high. No paranormal stoner stories. Okay. All right. How about you pass the bowl? It's time for a voice in the dark. No.
Sounds like porn.
It does. No. Okay. No. How about the 420 code? Get it? The Da Vinci Code.
I was going to say, gives me that Da Vinci Code vibe.
Right? Da Vinci Code, 420 code.
The 420 experiment.
Welcome to the 420 experiment with Chelle and Laylla.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, it would be like, and then bubbles or something. I can't even do it. I don't know how to record that. How do people record that?
It's like they have to put like the mic, they have to have one of those string mics and put it like right in the bong, basically.
Bougie stoners.
Yeah.
I'm a bougie stoner. No, we're like do what we can stoners, like kitchen witch stoners.
The Witches of 420.
Ooh, the Witches of 420.
Remember way back when we were young and silly, we used to say we were the Witches of Broom?
We were never silly.
I know. But, I had thought about that and I was like, ooh, the Witches of 420.
Welcome to the Witches of 420. I'm Laylla.
And I'm Chelle.
We're here to ride brooms and smoke bowls. I don't know. 4:20 a.m., the witching hour, the creepy stoner
Stoned Witches Hour.
The Stoned Witches Hour. Hey, it's the Stoned Witches Hour.
Yeah.
Hey, we are stoned witches. Aw.
We are.
Well, we're stoned witches. You and me. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 10.
I'm high at the moment.
You're like, I'll be fine. I don't need to smoke all the time. So, do, creepy music. Ooh. And
that's our intro music.
There's our intro music.
Hey, I'm Chelle.
Do it again.
You were mid-hit.
I was mid bong rip. I mean, come on. All right, so intro music. We're going to focus on stories that are true-ish, tales of ghosts, hauntings, paranormal, the mysterious, and the creepy. Hey, Chelle.
We're here to get high and spooked.
I love that. Okay. High and spooked.
Hey, I'm Chelle.
And I'm Laylla.
And we're here to get high and spooked.
And I still don't know what I'm going to say here. We're going to bring you stories every week from the East Coast and the West Coast. The creepiest, scariest, most mysterious, weirdest things that we can find. We are going to smoke our faces off and try to creep each other out.
I'm East Coast.
And I'm West Coast.
We're also going to talk about what we're smoking over here.
Oh, absolutely. And I am definitely enjoying myself right at the moment. Smoking a little bit of Bruce Banner. Got me a little forgetful.
See, I've got this Ecto Cooler, but I think in the spirit of our show tonight, it's going to be called East Coast Ecto.
I kind of like how we both went with like green superhero type things. You've got the Ecto green ghost, and I've got Bruce Banner who like
the Incredible Hulk, man.
Right? Absolutely. So both of them are like green superheroes in their own way. I like it.
So basically a little bit about us is we've been friends forever. Like 25 years.
Yeah, definitely a little more than that. And we have been smoking since the day I met you.
I know. And being spooky.
I think we have told more scary stories at night over a bowl than...
And gone to more scary places and done scary shit.
Some of the ghost investigations that we have done. Do you remember back in the 90s when we were doing speaking engagements on tarot, witchcraft, paganism as a spiritual practice, paranormal, that type of thing. And we, after one of those events, I think it was at a college, I won't name it, but a college in upstate New York. And we met a young woman, and she told us how her house was haunted. And was like,
yes,
you know who I'm talking about, right?
yes,
And
yes.
her house was crazy haunted. She was having all these problems. She wanted to know if we could come and help her out. And so we went and we did some
Exorcise the demons.
right. And we did a cleansing. And to be honest, that one turned out to have like a very actually mild ghost presence. And most of it was her. Like most of it was like her kind of emotional issues. And sometimes that's kind of what's behind a lot of this. We're not really going to focus on that, but we're going to focus on stories of hauntings, try and tell people like what's behind that, and tell people, I guess, the facts that we can find out. Are there stories? Who's told the stories? Where's the articles on it? You know, like, was there a movie? You're doing one that a movie was based on it. So we're going to try and focus more on true-ish tales of creepy American stories.
There's a piece to my story where, and especially back in the early 1900s, they addressed the fact that a lot of folks that believed in paranormal experiences and things like that, and they'd get essentially institutionalized for saying that they had this experience or saw this apparition or what have you. And one of the things I found was that they specifically said is mental health services became more of a thing, there actually were less exorcisms in the United States.
Well, yeah, in some of the stories that you find, there's clearly a mental illness component. You know, there's
right.
And that might be a creepy story that we tell, and we're like, hey, this is a super creepy story, and it was perpetrated by a super creepy person, but there's no paranormal thing here. It sounds like it. But some of these paranormal stories, you and I
are legit.
There's no explaining it. We're not exactly sure how it happened or why it happened, but so many different people from different walks of life have experienced the same thing in the same places. And we want to talk about that. We've had weird experiences in weird places.
Right.
From the house, my father's house, that has a whole history from multiple families and multiple family members of mine, to your personal experiences with a supernatural that can't be explained. I mean, there's a lot out there, and it's pretty interesting. And so, yeah, some of the stuff that we're going to find is clearly going to be sounds spooky and paranormal and really isn't. And some of it's going to be truly unexplained, and we don't know what the fuck that is.
What the fuck? Pass the bong.
Exactly. And that's when we're going to be like, I am not high enough to hear that story because that's creeping me out. I'm getting chills, and I need to turn on a few more lights. Some of the things we've seen have been absolutely...
Sometimes I think that if we weren't high, we might have been way more scared than we probably were.
Oh, 100%. I would totally have been terrified, and you would not have gotten me to go to those places if I had not been that high. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely helped get us into more interesting escapades. And I swear, I walk into some situations and I'm like, oh my God. And you're like, Layla, smoke this bowl and fucking woman up. You got it. And if it wasn't you,
okay, how bad can it be? Just take a hit and it'll all be good.
It'll be fine. And then laugh at me when I'm an idiot. So
we figured we would just kind of share our stories, share our high giggles, and talk about the things that make us go ooh.
Oh, absolutely. And now that I'm living west of the Mississippi, I'm finding so many scary places, so many scary stories out here, things that go bump in the night. I didn't think it was going to be as interesting as the East Coast, but it certainly is, I think.
There's a lot here. There's a lot east of the Mississippi, like a lot.
I'm surprised. I was blown away when I started looking. America is just, we're creepy. We're just
spooky
creepy people. Yeah, why? We're spooky. We have superstitions and weird creatures. So tell me, like, what are some of the things that you found? What are some of the things we can look forward to?
Some of the things I'm going to be talking about neither of us are in the location that we had spent a long time being friends
That's
at.
true. We're both freaking transplants. You live in a
So-
totally different area, and I live in a completely different area than when we
We're in a
first-
totally different coast. Who are you talking
Come on,
about?
that's right. Completely opposite coast.
I really wanted to take it back to the beginning, take it back to our roots. And I'm starting out with a couple of places in rural upstate New York. So
Right.
Forest Park Cemetery near
Oh.
Troy, New York.
I've heard of that.
Have heard of it. I don't know if you know much about it, but we're gonna spend an episode talking about Forest Cemetery Park.
I need to get a little more high. The only things I've heard about that place are super creepy. I don't
Right?
know a lot, but just some creepy shit. So that's a good thing.
It's getting better. So then we're gonna go to another part of New York State, Rolling Hills Asylum.
I've never heard of that, but if it has the word asylum in it, I'm already scared.
You're in.
I'm so scared. I'm ready to hear it.
I don't care what west of the Mississippi has. This is one you can't trump.
Oh, we can absolutely beat you. I know we can. You keep going. We've got the best. I mean, we have Roswell out here. Come on.
Another New York staple, the Amityville Horror House.
That's a good one. Oh my goodness. We were raised on that. It's like mother's milk of horror stories.
Oh, no, we're going up a notch again.
Really?
We're gonna stop in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, New York.
Sleepy Hollow. No shit. That's like the OG of scary stories. Is that like one of the
Right?
oldest American horror stories ever?
New York. Yep.
Yeah. That's
So-
you can't really beat New York.
Now we're gonna broaden out a little more in the Northeast, and we're gonna talk about the Lizzie Borden house.
Oh my God.
Come
Lizzie
on,
Borden
you
took
know
an
you-
axe.
Yeah.
Did you skip rope to that when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
But I didn't realize
we,
what
like,
the actual
twisted?
story was until I was
No.
older. And then I'm like, oh my God, why did adults let me talk about that?
Right. What is wrong with children? They're so creepy. Okay,
Trans-
go on. That's a good one.
Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Pennsylvania.
Again, I have not heard it, but you said that asylum
I
word.
said that asylum word.
Creepy shit.
And then I have to do it. It's a definite staple in the East Coast.
All
We're
right,
going
tell
to-
me one more.
We're going to Salem.
Oh, yes,
Go
the
to
witch
Salem.
capital of the world.
And
All
there'll be
right.
places we'll talk about in Salem. So we're definitely going to do an episode on Salem.
Fantastic. Oh
East
my
Coast
God.
has Gettysburg, man.
They do. You have all the battle sites.
Gettysburg.
Those are crazy. Actually, there's some battle sites out here that are super, super haunted.
You got the Alamo.
Oh yeah, there's definitely the Alamo. That's the first one that comes to everybody's mind. But
Pennsylvania coal mines, those places are creepy. You ever been to the
creepy
coal
as
mines?
hell. Isn't there something that's still burning out there? Those
Yeah.
places are probably like full of ghosts, like full. Why would you even go in a coal mine? It's just scary.
My father always took us to the coal mines. It was such a creepy thing.
Why would he do that? That's bad.
It's a tourist attraction.
You're kidding me.
Unfortunately. No,
There's
not
a
kidding.
coal mine that's a tourist attraction.
Like when I was a kid, I got a certificate from the place that like I went through the coal mine. Like it's a tourist
You are
attraction.
such a nerd. You are
We'll
such
talk about that later.
But
You know-
yeah, we've got some of that out here. We even have Shanghai tunnels up in
Ooh.
Oregon. Yeah, it sounds
Ooh.
like exotic, right? They were
It
used.
does.
It does all sorts of smuggling and piracy and murder and creepy stuff like that. So we
Now,
have Alcatraz.
I got a more supernaturally thing.
Ooh, what have you got?
Jersey Devil.
The Jersey Devil.
Jersey
You
Devil.
mentioned that to me and I was super intrigued. Tell me about the Jersey Devil.
I can't believe you don't know what the Jersey Devil is.
I've never heard of it until you said it the other day.
Think of like New Jersey's version of Bigfoot, but like
Ooh. We
meaner.
have like the chupacabra out here.
Kind of like that, but this is like apparently confined to New Jersey.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
To
Okay.
the point, we'll go like weird nerd hockey fan info on you for a second. The New Jersey NHL hockey team is the New Jersey Devils. Like this whole devil thing is a big thing in New
It's a
Jersey.
thing in New Jersey. You know, what's interesting to me, one of the things that I ran into when I was researching topics was how much is, Americana is woven into these stories. Like how many of them seem to crop up Like my first story that I am absolutely going to make you keep the lights on when you go to bed when I tell you this story in our first episode. But you know, these ghost stories, these different, like the New Jersey Devil, you know, there's Bigfoot, there's the Wendigo, there's the Chupacabra, similar types of stories pop up all over the country.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just amazing to me how it gets woven in. And the story that I'm going to, again, absolutely scare you way more than you scare me when I tell you, is you'll find similar stories in other places, but this one has kind of proof that maybe it started there. So, but it's interesting.
I think that the final thing on my short list to start off with, you're going to be jealous, and I have good reasoning for being able to steal this story as an East Coaster.
Okay, let's see.
I am actually going to, separate from talking about Salem, we'll do an episode on Salem.
Okay.
But then we are going to do a separate chat about Ouija boards, which,
Hey,
yeah.
how do you get Ouija boards?
Because they were originated in Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah. All right. You got me there. I'll give you that one. I'll give you
But
I get aliens though. I get aliens.
You get aliens.
Yeah.
You get aliens.
I have Roswell. I have Area 51, so I get aliens then.
Wait, can we get David Duchovny as like a guest on here?
He's still kind of hot. We probably could. Wow. I didn't think of that. David Duchovny, if you're listening, you have an open spot on our show anytime.
Anytime.
All right. The truth is out there.
So what are some things that you think you think are going to be spooktacular and scare me out of my wits from the West Coast? What you got?
Gosh.
What you got?
Well, besides the ones that I already mentioned, we absolutely are going to go to have you heard of the most haunted ship in the entire US, the Queen Mary?
You were telling me about it.
Oh my gosh.
But isn't it like a British ship?
Is it a British ship? Holy shit. Hold on. I need to know a little more about this before we talk about it.
So what happens when you're high?
I know. It's in Long Beach. Let's see. The RMS Queen Mary served as a luxury ocean liner from 1936 to 1967. And during that time, it was the site of at least one murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right? If people have been crushed to death, children have drowned there. It was a convalescent ship at one point. So many people have died there. It was turned into a hotel, and it now sits docked in Long Beach. So that is actually some place that I can go to, maybe we can go to and visit, but there's so many hauntings there.
Oh my God, I would love to do that.
Right? They have a ghost tour, so we're definitely going to do that. But there are so many sightings and stories. There's also the Winchester Mystery House.
I've heard of that.
Yes, you actually told me about that a million years ago. It was someplace that you said you'd always wanted to go. So when I knew I lived kind of close.
Stairways to nowhere.
Stairways to nowhere, doors that open out into the open air from like the 5th floor. Someone who had to keep building or she was going to die. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
We've definitely got some interesting places out here.
When you talk about that, can you tell us who owns that house now?
Sure. Yeah.
Note
We can
to
look
self.
into that. I know that I actually looked into going there over Halloween because they have a whole thing on Halloween and they have different tours. Yeah. They have tours all the time, but on Halloween it gets extra spooky.
All right, where else we going?
All right. So Colorado, in the early mining town, this gentleman, J. Dawson Hedgepath. He was an amorous dude and he fell off a cliff. So sad. But he loved women so much. He still is a hopeless romantic even after death, and he haunts women at a hotel.
Ooh.
Yeah. So different.
Is he cute?
No, I would not say so.
Okay, then that's kind of creepy.
Yeah. So you've got Gettysburg, and we out here have Sand Creek.
What's that?
Sand Creek Massacre.
Ooh.
So many people were killed and mutilated there that the place is just absolutely covered in ghosts, and creepy things continue to happen to this day.
Ooh.
Let's see. I should have been more prepared to give you this list. So we have haunted mines and haunted hotels. There's a lot of stuff from the Wild West out here. You have asylums, and we have the Traverse City Hospital.
Ooh.
It was a
Nothing
former
like a good
state-run
creepy
asylum
hospital.
that's full of ghosts. We have the Menger Hotel, Pittock Mansion. See, so many of yours are like well known. You hear about these East Coast places. You don't necessarily hear about the Whaley House in San Diego that's full of ghosts. You know, the Point Sur Lighthouse or the Moaning Caverns in Vallecito. So there's a lot of interesting stuff here. So that might be new to you. So I'm kind of excited to introduce you to ghost stories and spooky stories that maybe you're not as familiar with as the stuff you kind of grew up on from East Coast. So we'll get to some really interesting things going.
I'm definitely intrigued. Definitely
All right.
intrigued.
So are you going to tell us what you're doing for your first episode, or are you going to make us wait?
I'm starting OG here. So I figured I'd start with what actually pulled me in and started this all. You know, when we're kids, you know, you may see things, hear things, you don't know if it's real. There was a movie when I was a child that I watched, and even though I was scared because I knew that this was real. So, but it wasn't even so much that I knew it was real, but I knew that those things could happen in real life, and it wasn't just fake movie. We're going back to the 1973 ninth most grossing horror movie of all time.
Oh, wow. What do we got?
The Exorcist.
Oh man, it's so creepy. Oh my God.
Because, you know, little known fact, not everybody knows this, actually 2 true stories combined.
What?
Is what made that movie.
No, I've never heard. What do you mean 2 stories?
Obviously, there was a kid, and we'll talk about the kid. And we'll talk about the true story of the kid. But interestingly enough, other portions of it were melded together with a true story in Loudun, France, from 1634.
Whoa.
Yeah.
For the movie or for like the legend, like the real?
No, for the movie.
Okay.
So for the movie, they took the true story of this kid
and merged it.
They merged it with this incident in 1634 in France with a bunch of nuns and priests. Put those 2 stories together, and you have the 1973 classic, The Exorcist.
The Exorcist. Holy shit.
So we're gonna talk about the real, true, documented events that led to one of the scariest movies of our lifetime.
Wow. I'm intensely curious. I've seen the movie. It scares the crap out of me. And yeah, it was one of the first movies I had such a hard time with as a kid. I mean, it was so creepy.
But to know that like this stuff happened.
Like that was based on actual events. Oh my God. I've never heard the France connection. Like,
yeah. And you know, this is you're gonna be surprised about some things.
I'm ready to be surprised. I'm ready to get high and get creeped out. Absolutely. All right.
So what are you gonna do? What do you think is what do you think is gonna scare me?
All right, I got you. I'm gonna start with a ghost story. And I guess I'm going a little OG too, because honestly, when I first heard this story, it sounded so familiar. I know I've heard this before. So the trope itself, again, tell me if you've heard this. Driving along late at night and you see a hitchhiker, almost always a young woman, almost always either scantily clad or wearing some sort of sheer white dress.
Been there, done that.
Right.
1,000 times, 1,000 roads. Like every state in America has that story.
Yes. So yeah, the regular trope that like, there you go. That's the whole story. But I found the original, and I found there's actually newspaper articles and a really old story from a book that was written in 1943. It's one of the first retellings of this story, although they say that kids in school were talking about it from the 1930s. And even Neiman Marcus gets involved, and I'll tell you how that gets involved. But yeah,
I tell you a fun fact here that I've noticed.
What's that?
So you said your story is like originated in the 1940s, right?
Mm-hmm.
My story originates in the 1940s.
Whoa, coincidence? Woo! So we both went OG straight to the 1940s.
I guess the 1940s were like spooktacular.
Maybe. Maybe. Or maybe our stone brains went 420, 1942. I don't know. That entirely could have happened. But yeah, so 1940s, it's a great ghost story. Certainly has its roots in, again, that whole Americana thing where it's like found all over the place. But There's some specific facts here in Dallas, Texas, particularly the Lady of the Lake legend.
Ooh.
Right? I love it. How can you not be intrigued by that name?
I didn't even know there was a Lady of the Lake legend in America.
Lady of the, well, not that Lady of the Lake. This unfortunately is a dead Lady of the Lake, but like, and even better, this lake is like a hotbed of deaths. Like, wait till you hear some of the stories. It's insane and very creepy.
Ooh.
Yeah. You're gonna be so creeped out. I'm totally gonna win this.
I've never heard of any of these places.
Right? How fun. I love the fact that we're getting some of the OG stuff that you and I are at least even maybe have heard of or like kind of familiar with, some stuff that I'm not exactly as familiar with out here. So I'm
intrigued.
excited.
This will be fun.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, get some more information. Tune into our first episode. We'll do an episode weekly of creepy, scary, paranormal stories. See if we can creep each other out. One other thing, this is so dumb. I know this is going to be an absolute stoned thought, so please feel free to laugh at me if you need to. So I wrote this and I'm like, hey, thanks for listening. If you thought our stories were spooky, okay. Thanks for listening. If you thought our stories were spooky enough for a late night bull fright, send us a message and tell us what you liked, what you thought was creepy or interesting, and which story, East Coast or West Coast, you thought was scariest. Say late night bull fright. It looks better on paper.
Late night bull fright? The fuck is that? What's a bull fright?
I don't know. Hi. I don't know. I was like writing really fast and I was really stoned and I was trying to think of something fun and Chelle, this has been so much fun. I can't wait to do it again next week. I'll have to pack something maybe slightly less potent so I don't forget where I was all the time.
Happy 420.
All right, Chelle. I know we are not 100% on a name yet, but we're kind of getting there. And we've got some stories ready to go. I know I do on the West Coast. How about you?
I got a lot of great stories here on the East Coast.
I think I have smoked my limit for this evening. Yes, I do have. No, actually, I don't have. So I've smoked a lot this evening and I am ready to, I don't know. I'm going to sit back, get ready for next week. We've got some stories ready to go and we'll get together at the next 4:20 a.m., the next witching hour.
See you then.
Join us if you dare. Oh, and bring some pot because I think I smoked all mine.
Yeah, definitely need an outtake video.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Or outtake audio.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Next week is episode 1 of the Stone